What you doing? Oh, I gotta come over. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you, little kitty. Yeah. Hi. See the pan? This is hard to do. See the pan up there? I made a cake. I like to, if I make something and then I need it to cool off, I put it on top of the wood stove, which is like a giant heat sink. Works great as a heat sink and takes the heat right out of it. Poof. If you want it to cool off quick, that's my little prepper tip. Prepper life tip, whatever. Can I do this? Okay. Hello, everybody. Back to, sorry, little baby cat. Back to the point about the simulated reality that we're in. It doesn't really much matter whether it's simulated or not. It's just something that helps me. But in this reality frame that we're in, there's all kinds of different reality frames with different rules. Like we have gravity here, maybe they have different rules other places, and maybe they're not physical bodies or whatever, maybe they're just light bodies, whatever. But in this reality frame, I believe, as I think I said, that we're here for a purpose, to learn something and then move on. You can stick around, but in general, you're here to do something. Learn something. And one of those things is to control your emotions, be in control of yourself and not hurt others, respect others. It's a whole lot of learn how to live in love and not hurt other people. So basically, learn to control yourself. If you make it, just bunch everything all together, like not live in fear and all that stuff, and learn how to love. Just basically learn how to control yourself and express these values. That's what you need to learn. And once you learn that, you can move on to another reality frame. Otherwise, you're going to come back and back and back and back until you get it. So what I think is going on in this reality frame, this world, is that some people like living in this reality frame. And they like coming back and back and back. And they have mastered this reality frame and they don't want to leave. They love it. Okay? They've mastered it in a bad way. Where people like Buddha or Jesus or whoever have mastered it in a good way and controlled themselves, taught others, and moved on, or whatever they do. I don't know what to do. But then there's masters on the other end of the spectrum who I believe can control themselves, can control their emotions. They've mastered this, and yet they don't want to move on. And furthermore, they enjoy living in wealth and opulence and controlling other people. And that's what's really going on. But everybody in the middle of the spectrum is just being manipulated by those particular people. You can either learn to control yourself. There's like three kinds of people. People who are trying to just learn to control themselves and move on. There's people who know how to control themselves and yet want to stay and control others. And then there's everybody in the middle who don't know what they're here for, don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to get through this crap. And then once they get through this crap, guess what? It starts again, and they got more crap to get through. So these people who are on the other end of the spectrum, like I said, who want to control everybody and everything. They don't want... My cat's rummaging. They don't want the vast people in the middle to evolve and scoot out of here. They need this power base. They need this big blob of humanity as a giant workforce, giant tool for, they can sit back and drink coffee and make videos. Right, baby? So I think that's what's going on in this reality frame. There will always be those people. They've probably been around, since the thing started, whenever this reality started. They mastered themselves and then said, hey, we can master this big pile of humanity that's in the middle and have them do everything for us. This is great. And they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back and becoming kings or working for the CIA or some skanky thing that they like to do. So you don't really need to know that the government is corrupt and all that stuff. That understanding will probably come along once you've tried to use your critical thinking skills, and gotten control of yourself. That's the key. Get control of yourself. Be the master of yourself, or else someone's going to step forward and be your master, and you will be the slave. It's not in-your-face slavery, which is good for us. So, in a way, take this time while we still have it to work on yourself, and maybe you can scoot out of here when you're done. Don't worry about it. The point is that you need to learn. All right, and what you do with what you've learned, because you can take all that and flip it around and learn to control others, and that's just not the purpose. But the thing is that that's how our reality is going to be. It's in this reality frame. There's always going to be those people. There's always going to be people in the middle who don't know what's going on, and there's always going to be people who are at least trying to enlighten themselves and move along. Maybe there's like a flux of, the evil people gain the upper hand for a while, and, things ebb and flow. I don't know. I don't know how into actual change we should be, like revolution or whatever. I think something needs to be done, and I'm not... How involved do you need to get? I'm not sure. Bill over on another channel is saying that we should all take a week off or something, as a mass action. That's a great idea. That works in other countries where people aren't as brainwashed. I guess they're not as brainwashed. It seems to work there. I don't see it working here. That's why I'm not really getting on board. I've already said we should do something like that, but then discussed it. It's just not going to happen because we're too dumb. Sorry. Pretty well brainwashed. Sounds like a drone outside. Could be my neighbor blowing leaves around. He's nuts. But I think a better idea, maybe better, I don't know, in our circumstances here in the United States, where we are so dumb, A good plan of action is to file 9 on your tax form, your W-4, assuming you're employed by some employer. You're forced to sign this thing and do withholding for your income taxes. It's perfectly allowed and reasonable, and you're free to do this. File 9 for withholding as if you had 9 dependents, or something like that. I think that's the maximum, and that's legal. And the government, the IRS, has no problem with that at all. Just put 9 down. They don't even care why you're putting it down. Okay. This is a good plan on 2 fronts. It's just generally a good idea anyway. If you're a prepper like me and you want cash now in case some shit happens, some real shit, you don't want to be sending it to the government. You don't want all that cash that you're eventually going to pay in taxes. You don't want it to go right now. You can hold on to it. Keep it in the bank. I wouldn't keep it in the bank, but I would keep it in cash. Just a certain amount of cash. And I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just talking about the money that you withhold from the government until tax time comes. It actually comes. That I personally would hold as cash. That way, when tax time comes, just give them the cash. If that's what you want to do. But I think that's a good action if everybody withheld that money from the government until tax time, April 16th, or I'm not sure when it would actually have to be given to them. You can file extensions or whatever if you want to. Or never pay it, not file a tax return. You could do that and then see what happens. But the legal, quote, legal route would be to put 9 down for withholding on your W-4, and they would not have the money at their disposal. That money, depending on how many people did this, the money would dry up. It wouldn't be in their coffers, and that might cause some problems that we need to cause. We need to cause these people some problems, I believe. So if you were looking for some type of action to take, that's legal, and it's a good idea on top of that. That way you have a reserve of cash, actual cash, that people seem to like. When the shit hits the fan, if it does, or some type of catastrophe happens, you have cash, real cash on hand. It just makes sense to do that instead of paying it to the government ahead of time. Don't do that. That's my advice to you. Don't do that. I used to do it just because it's convenient. I understand that. It's convenient, and that way at the end of the year you don't have to pay them at the end of the year. But just keep the cash on hand. Don't spend it unless there's a real problem. It keeps it out of their hands. That's my point. Make it harder for them. Don't help these people out. Don't take out loans if you can help it. Don't do all those things that they want you to do. They want you to be in debt. Don't be in debt. That's crazy. Then you have to work. You're required to work. How else are you going to get money? Well, most people would think, oh, I have to work. But you can earn a lot of money, right? Save it, and buy what you need. That's how I do things. That's just prudent, I think. Don't get behind, man. They'll get you behind, and you'll lose your house or whatever. They want you to live in fear of all this stuff. All this retribution. Well, you got your credit report and all that stuff. Oh, you don't want bad credit. This is their system of, you don't want to be out of favor with us. That's what it is. It's not, it's got nothing to do with, some credit report. You think it's all legitimate. It's not legitimate. None of this is. It's just control over you. And if you're behind and you have to be beholden to some bank, they'll take out a loan, and then you have to go to work. You can't just sit home like I did for a year and a half. You can't. You have to go to work. You're putting yourself in a bad situation. Just trying to stay out of that situation. That should make sense to me. Don't fall for the legitimacy of our federal government and the authorities, the quote authorities, and the courts and the IRS. There's no legitimacy there. Their authority is a myth. It's a myth. Don't fall for it. Remember what they said, all created equal, okay? When you're talking to a senator or a policeman or whoever who's supposedly has authority, just remember, you're all created equal. Don't buy it. Just whatever they say doesn't necessarily go. Okay? You're part of this. Don't just fall for this crap. I'm sorry this don't make too much sense, but I'm watching my cat drag a plastic bag around. Yes, I see you. Alright, so that's my plan. It makes sense to me. Good sense. Don't give them your extra money. I would do a mass action like everybody take a week off. That makes sense too. I just don't see it happening. This could happen. I would say spread the word, maybe, probably a lot of people do this already and they just don't tell anybody. Put 9 down on your withholding. They don't need the money. Now I'm saying they don't need the money. All right. Well, they can probably print it up out of thin air. This is the whole problem. You have people, like I said, these control freaks. They have set up a system where they don't have to work for money. But you do, because you're in the middle and you don't know it. So you think this whole system is legitimate, this Federal Reserve banking system. Oh, it's all, that's part of the government. Oh. They're literally printing their own money. The rest of it is just to get you to do something for them. The corporations, the whole profit thing, that's all just to get you to do what they want, and that's it. Never mind profit. Profit don't mean shit. They can print money. Okay? At least here in this country. And that's what they do. Because we have the world reserve currency. They force it on the rest of the world, and the whole world has to eat their inflation. And that's what's happening. Okay, good day.